Hello and welcome to this quick overview of Caves of Lore, a retro or old school party-based, turn-based RPG which was released at the 21st of January 2023 and developed by a one-man studio called Plume. It's available on Steam for €10 or US dollars, around €10. And Android for a little bit more. In Europe it's €12. I guess that's the same in US dollars. So I will just give you a quick overview of what to expect in the game and a bit about the game mechanics. And we are down in some caves with our party. So you can see on the right side we have a party of 6. We can freely design the main character, and all the other characters, they are characters we can find throughout the game. We can then name them and we can decide what they gain when they are doing level ups, but regarding the attributes and so on, they will be fixed. I will go a bit more into detail about that in a bit. So now we are here running around in this caves. We can, for example, find chests, treasure, and now I try to lockpick it, but I've got a retry penalty so that I can't spam it. That's also because with every action you have a chance that your skill is increasing. And you can see that the graphics here are a mix of 2D pixelated graphics, which look really cool, but then also some more modern effects. Well, there's the lighting, but also this 3D construction thing, which looks a bit weird. For example, in this case, where we have this wall next to us, but we have the 2D wall, and then we have this 3D construction thing, which is a bit weird, right? Next, I will show you a bit of the combat, and I will just find some random enemy here. So you can see that the enemies on the maps, they are really on the maps and roaming around, and this one spotted us and is running towards our direction. And now we will fight that one. And you can see, yeah, this is turn-based. On a grid we have 2 enemies here, and they have halberds. I think they can attack on 2 tiles range. We can see the turn order in the bottom here, and we can see our abilities on the top. So for example, this dog, I will just move into the back. We can also flee from the combat. We can also set our starting positions in the character menu. And with this dog I'm going to use a debuff, which is decreasing their defense. And so you can see, yeah, there is quite a bit of range, and this character was killed right away, but not a problem. We also have a bit of range here, so we also have a halberd guy, and we will attack this guy. This is a kind of a mage, so we will move away here. And this game also features a very interesting magic system. I will explain that in a little bit. We have here a spark, and for that we are out of range, but we can also have the cave collapse, and this is probably a good choice here. Lots of damage. So he's dead now, and we can also call some bats. There are different types of damage. I think that's earth damage or something like that. And depending on the resistances of the enemy, we might do more or less by different types of damage. So we killed the enemies, we got some XP, we got some level up, we have got a summary here, some gold, and yeah, some loot. Let's take that. If the characters are, well, down, they are not dead. We can also just rest. Let me show that. And get a bit into a secure position here. Like here, we can make a campfire here and just rest until healed. And then you can see that the speed is accelerated, and we got some of our hit points back. You can see all these icons here. This is because we can level up the character. I will go into that in a bit. First, I will go over the interface options here. So we have some tutorial things here, different sections. It's a bit convoluted. We have a display here which shows kind of the daytime. We also see that on the top right. I'm not yet sure what effect that has, besides of making the day bright and the night dark. So for example, we can also quick travel, and we will go into the town center, and here we can see that it's yeah, I guess it's in the early morning, like 4 o'clock or something. Unfortunately, there's no tooltip or something which is showing like what time exactly we have. Also, I'm not sure what the constellation of the planets mean, if they have any impact. We have, of course, the game options. We can set well, we can actually reduce the graphics. I'm not sure if you'd want to do that. Let's change that back to 400 dpi. Everything is much more detailed now. Well, not really. Then we have the combat speed. It's just for animation, and combat entry speed. Yeah, there's always a little bit of an animation at the beginning. The save games is a bit weird, the menu here. We only have 8 slots, like 0 to 7, right? And we have an autosave, and we can decide to overwrite or make new saves, but we cannot name our saves, and the spots are limited. I hope that this is still being expanded. And then we've got, if you are playing that on a phone, for example, you might want to use this. So you can click anywhere where you want to go. You can also hold down your mouse button. You can also use this one. And if you're playing that on a mobile device, then this might be the best option. We can sneak around. Of course, we should turn off our torch for that. We have a map. It's also very nice. You can see everything here on these maps. You also have, I'm not sure, maybe that's also due to being available on phone, that you don't have the legend on the map, so you need to open this help menu, and then somewhere you find here on the map, you find the legend. I think that should have been on the map right away. You have a bestiary where you can see the different enemies you encountered so far. And you can also summon creatures with a spell, but you have to completely exploit them in the bestiary. So the more information you have, the more... for example, I think the hit points are only showing if you killed a couple of them. Then you've got bestiary. You got the quests, so you got a lot of different quests here by talking to people. Now this is just a guard with just one line of text basically, but you have people here in the city everywhere. Well, this is probably a bad example, there's nobody here. Here, and now you can talk about the caves, and you get a little bit of information, but you are not like spammed with walls of text. You can trade in the game. So lots of stuff here. You can also have skills to reduce the costs here. You have services. In this case, you can get training for your music skill, which I think is doing something on resting, maybe giving a buff or something like that. And then we are almost finished here. You have your recipes here. And of course the quick travel thing. And then I will quickly show you something else. This is basically the first time you really encounter kind of a city with NPCs you can talk to. Lots of people to talk to here. You get a couple of quests here and so on. But you also have a way to rest over here. You have a crafting menu here where you can brew potions. You have... an arms trainer, and you can also leave your party members behind here. You can, for example, say, okay, he should stay here. Now I'm only running around with 3 characters, and you can pick him up again, of course. And you can also rename him if you want to. There's some kind of a backup option. So you also, you saw in on the map, the enemies are roaming around. So there are not unlimited amount of enemies in that regard. But you cannot really get stuck because, first of all, you got some respawning high value items here. I think every 2 hours you play the game, you get a new item in this chest, which might give you a bit of an edge. And in addition, you can also use this a summoning stone thing outside of this city, which you can find over here. And there you can decide which of the enemies you already encountered you want to fight in some kind of training battle. Now this will not give you a lot of loot, but probably any loot, but this will help you gain your character values. So regarding the characters, what's making out the characters? So this is the inventory, and of course the items are important. The whole interface here is maybe a bit, yeah, convoluted. You cannot really, yeah, the overview is not great. So, for example, if you want to sort out the trash, you would probably need to have a second inventory thing here, but then you, for example, I try to separate the trash here, but then you don't have any tooltips. You need to take that away, look into this item, and now how do you want to put it into, yeah, right? You have to activate that again. So the interface could use some improvements there. But you can see that there are tons of different items. They all have their nice symbols here. And of course you want to get, you can also see like this has more armor than this, and so on. So on the first look, the item system seems to be, well, not deep, but it's also not very superficial. You have different damage ranges. You saw with the halberd that there is an attack range, the critical chance. You also have different weapon categories, and depending on your traits, for example, this character has a hammer proficiency, so he's doing more damage with a hammer and he's doing more damage with a blade, for example. But of course the items can just be swapped around, and essentially there are no classes and everyone can do everything, but you do have these attributes here, and these are what are limiting the character's abilities. So, for example, I just made this one into everything strength and agility based, so he can use all the stuff. But for example, this armor has a strength requirement of 15. So this character, for example, or even that character, would not be able to wear this chainmail. And you cannot improve these attributes later on. I've got speed of 17, but that is because of some item giving additional speed. So you can increase that passively, but you cannot do that on a level up as far as I know. What you get on a level up are points you can put in a skill. As I mentioned before, I think when we were lockpicking, well, there's some learning by doing. Also in combat, you might get additional like one-handed weapon skill or training. You can see this white bar. Once it fills up, you get an additional point in that, and you do more damage and have a higher chance to hit. But you can also invest some skill points into these to help you getting forward, or to increase some skill you're not using that much. And you get these on a level up, but only very few. You have a lot of starting skill points though with your main character, so you can set up which initial skills the character is able to use, but for the other characters you are kind of limited to what they get at level ups. So in addition to these skills, you also have spells, which is a very interesting system, because you learn spells by using them. How do they get available to use them? So in the inventory screen you have this book, and you can see that there are a couple of spells here like shock, electricity, lightning bolt, and so on. And now if I go to the spells, you can see that there is some a second bar here. And once that second bar is filled up with this, for example, I've got this from a book right now, and if I'm going to use that, this second bar will fill up, and once it's filled, this one will be learned, and it will be a skill like this one, because that one is also one I got from a book, and that one as well. So you can find different books, and then the incentive is basically, you can check out the books here I've got so far, and the incentive is to just use all the skills a couple of times so that you are learning these skills on the character. And then you can use the skills even without having these spells. I think that's a very interesting system. And then you can also use the skills and improve them by doing so. So this is on level 3, but of course the level will increase further. And you can see that this is a summoning spell, this is a destruction spell, transmutation spell, and so on. And this one is a Khan side. That's a bit of a weirdo, because that one will help you discover some secret stuff in the game. So you can use that by casting any spell, and then, like you can see, this character only has these 2 spells available. And then you might find some special symbols on the world map which help you. I think we had something in the east where some levers were shown when we're using that skill. Yeah, you can see that there's something, right? These symbols, they will then show up and they will stay available even after the effect is gone. But in addition to these, we still have some more. So we have abilities, which are combat abilities, and let me see. Well, the first ability you can buy at level 5, and then you have a list over here of abilities you can choose from. These are then combat abilities for melee or for bow attacks. Then you have these follow-up skills, and I think you need to increase that a couple of times, and then this one becomes available, and so on. And I think he's got some different skills over here. Yeah. And then the mage also has different stuff, as protection skill, and so on. Now, the characters also have other unique abilities, and they will show up once you use that character as the main character. So, for example, this character here, that's actually the starting character and our main character, but we have some skill here called Perspective, and that one will help us to find some secrets in the vicinity. However, if we use that character as main character, we can also use that skill, and she's detecting where some wind is blowing, and that will help us like find an exit of a cave or something like that. Also kind of cool. Then the dog, he's able to just dig on the floor, and then, well, it's kind of useless here, right? But for example, with this spell I showed you before, we might find some symbol on the ground, and then we can use the dog to dig out whatever is buried beneath that symbol. These are special abilities from each character, besides of all the attributes and so on. And then, in addition to that, we also have traits. So, in this case, we have a hammer proficiency with additional damage to hammers. And we can also choose some different stuff here. Unfortunately, we can actually click on these treasure hunter. Again, a 5% increase finding random items and using a shovel or dig talent. Alright, portal jumper. And this is the character system. So yeah, we have quite of a deep game. I'm not sure what the total length of the game is, but it's certainly more than just 10 hours or so. So I would expect to spend some review of someone who's actually working together, I think with the developer or some community manager guy. I think he was mentioning something between 50 or 100 hours or so. And my initial impression after just a couple of hours in the game, I would also think that that's about the length you would expect from the game. There are a lot of quests, dialogues, that's never overwhelming. You have some overworld exploration, you have these underground areas and dungeons where you can find loot. Let me quickly port back to the city. Where you also have plenty of characters to talk to. And this one, of course, has a quest for us. Let's just exit to the west of this city. You can also see that there are some caves we can go into. I'm just quickly showing you that this is like an unexplored map with some more dangerous enemies. You should probably not go there right away. So we are on I think it's a remote island or something, and we are starting with our main character dropping into some cave. So we are here in this, on this island. We are just a wanderer. We are wandering our way, right? We have got some sheep here, and oh, you saw some of the symbols here. Now we went into some evil fog. I've listened to the elders and avoided the fog. Yeah, no, this is the right choice. Yeah, well, maybe not. Yeah, of course, follow the voices. That's what you do. Oh, poor thing. And there was a black pit we dropped into. And that's basically the introduction story. And now we will find some weird book. And apparently we are not the first one who is ending up in this cave. There's one underground city I showed you before that is... basically consists of people who fell into that pit and made this city underground, and they also lost their memory. And apparently there are some this is a treasure hunter, and he got a book with him, and now that's the first battle in the game here. We find this skeleton here. We name our first new companion the dog, set our own name. And that book kind of makes us to someone very special. We are kind of the chosen one, and apparently it's also not that common that you can read in this world. Because this cave or this location makes the characters a bit, well, they get dementia or something like that. They forget to read and they forget to do things. And so you can see the first steps here. So that's about the story I can tell so far regarding the game. And we now use this skill here so you can see, oh, there's something. The wall vanished, we did it! Alright. And now you can go here to the south exit. And that has been my first brief overview of the game. I hope that you have now a better idea of what to expect of Caves of Lore. The game is still a bit, let's call it, unpolished. I stumbled over various bugs so far, but the good thing is that once they were reported, they had been fixed all within just like 1 to 3 hours or so max. So the developer is extremely responsive on Discord. And if you have any questions about the game, then this is probably also the best point to ask them. You can of course also just ask below this video, and I will try to answer them with the limited knowledge I have. And if you're interested in buying that, as mentioned, it's about 10 euros or dollars on Steam, and you can also buy it on Android for a little bit more. But just warning there, you need Android 11, so if your mobile phone, like mine, is a bit older, then it might not show up on the Google Store. On iOS, I think there is still a release to happen in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this little overview, and with that, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.